conversations. If you want to catch up on any previous episode, visit us at www.codercombos.com. I'm your host, Kevin, and I'm with
Brian Russick, professional drummer based out of the Suffolk County, Long Island, New York area. If you want to book a lesson with me, you can find me online at brianrussick.com.
And joining us today is Marvin Tchio, founder of CoDNX. Welcome to the show.
Thank you guys. Thank you guys for having me. It's a pleasure.
Absolutely.
It's definitely a pleasure to have you on the show. Just to get things started, can you give us a little bit about your background and tell us about what made you decide to found your company?
So a bit of my background, I'm a software engineer. I guess my background is full stack DevOps, test automation, and I started CoDNX sort of because I felt as though there weren't as many people traveling in the U.S. as I felt needed to be, and I saw an opportunity to allow people to, regardless of where they're from, to travel sustainably, earn income passively, um, and gain perspective. Yeah, and that's kind of why I started CoDNX.
Awesome, man. So you spoke about like being a software engineer. I know like right now the industry is it's really hard to find employment, stay employed. There's so many layoffs going on. Like what is your experience has been like in the industry as of late?
I won't say I've had like trouble finding interviews and stuff. I think it's pretty easy to get interviews for me. And for me, I don't know about other people, but I think it's like you said, it might be hard to keep a job with AI shifting teams and stuff like that. I think that I think more people should be focused on building things for themselves and try to become as income independent as possible. Maybe have multiple streams of income just to balance out, the shaky rounds. But altogether, I think it's still a great industry to be in. I think that for anyone that wants to break into the industry, you want to attend as many conferences as possible. And for someone that's already broken into the industry, um, you want to, depending on if you want to work in big tech or not, you just got to be really good at like lead code and stuff.
Yeah.
But there's jobs out there. There's definitely jobs out there. I've had multiple interviews. I've had a lot of interviews. Unfortunately, no offers, um, but yeah, I think it's definitely feasible. It's not impossible.
Yeah, I agree that the opportunities are there. Yeah, it just takes persistence, and if you really love the industry, you really love tech. Eventually, you should be able to find something. But a lot of people that kind of been unemployed for months. I was in that boat about a year or so ago. But yeah, it's not easy when you don't have any income coming in for months. Like, how are you able to survive? During periods of unemployment.
Well, I went back home. I'm back at my parents' house right now, so that takes a lot of weight off of my
That's all.
shoulders. Um, and I want to say, man, it's been hard to be honest. I think that I think that having multiple sources of income, freelancing. I started freelancing straight out of college. Unfortunately, I'm just starting out now, and it seems to be working
Nice.
out. But I think that everyone should have an Upwork profile, especially if you're in tech. You should definitely have an Upwork profile and like build your clientele on your freelancing endeavors. I think that getting into YouTube, as you guys are doing, is also a great idea. I used to have a podcast. Unfortunately, I did not monetize because I don't think I found much more motivation. I'm the type of person that like I don't do things for money. I do things when I think it makes sense with my values. So I'm not, even though I know I could probably monetize my channel, I don't like spend time doing it. I rather focus on just building my startup because that's kind of what I feel draws me the most and deserves most of my time. But again, everyone's different, and I think that everyone should definitely be taking advantage of every single platform that's out there to make money, whether it's Twitch, YouTube, um, Amazon, whatever affiliate programs and stuff like that. Do what you can.
Awesome. I saw that you used to work for IBM and Boeing. What were those
Yes.
jobs like?
Well, working at Boeing was definitely my
Yeah.
favorite. Um, I got laid off during COVID because I was not a citizen yet. So a bit of my background: I'm originally from Cameroon. I came to the U.S. in 2015, my senior year of high school. I went straight to college. Um, I chose the hardest thing I could. I graduated, and thanks to NSB, National Society for Black Engineering, I was able to impress some of the higher um, executive level shareholders at Boeing, and they gave me an opportunity to work at Flight Test. It was an amazing experience. Got my first hands-on experience as as a full-stack software engineer. Got a return offer, and working on that team was just mind-blowing, amazing. Perfect team, perfect like and growth environment. I'm still friends with all I'm still friends with all
Yeah,
my
sounds like
coworkers
a
from
dream
Boeing to today.
environment.
Yeah, it was amazing.
What do you think it was that like really impressed the higher ups for them to just really want to offer you a job? Like what did you do to make yourself stand out?
Good question. I think it was my problem solving abilities. They interviewed a lot of candidates, and I think that during that NESB conference, most of my classmates got free. Their college basically paid for them to go, and I missed out on that opportunity for some reason. So I had to pay for myself to go, and because of the fact that I paid, and I knew that I needed that internship to get my foot in the door before I graduated the next semester, kind of made me double down. So I went in there very prepared, and during the interview process, I aced the interview. The executive got my problem solving abilities pretty hands on, and after interviewing me, he kind of just stopped um, all the interviews and said he found me. So
Nice.
Oh, amazing! Like what was it about that environment that you really enjoyed? Like what made this company really stand out as a place that you love to work at?
it was the inclusivity. We had a very diverse team. Um, there were two of us were black, two people were Indian, some were white. So it was a very diverse team of interns. And then the way they treated us as interns, it was like we had so much power. We had the ability to do pretty much anything we wanted. We got to meet with um, the highest level of executives, the distinguished engineers. We got to ask so many questions. We got to have um, it was just like the agile environment, just the whole like I think that working in tech, the most important thing actually is not even the salary. It's just being part of an amazing
Yeah.
team where you feel like you're actually part of a family, and it's not just about the
Right.
work and stuff. We would go into work, we would play ping pong before even stand up and stuff like
Nice.
that. So it was so fun. It was just so relaxed, and you could just express yourself um, very well and without being held back by anything. And it was just that was what I
Yeah, I
admired the
think
most.
what stands out to me is how you're viewed at a company, and what it's like in the group environment of the company, and kind of what their morals are and things like that, ethics.
Was like did they also give you a pretty comprehensive training, or was it pretty much like figure it out and just hit the ground running?
Oh yeah, I definitely got a really good mentor. Shout out to Sean. um Again, when I got that internship, that was my first time into the software development lifecycle landscape. I studied computer engineering, so I didn't really do any like software. I did like C++ programming with like, art like microprocessing development and stuff like that, but nothing crazy in software like developing a website, an enterprise website, and all these using all these enterprise website tools and softwares. So I think that what made it very easy for me was having a really good mentor on my team, someone that could see me struggle and kind of help me. And I think also being able to learn pretty quickly and learning on the spot was very helpful, because I could also show that I was learning and I was comprehending every concept and every um, thing that I was supposed to comprehend. So I think
That's
that helped
great.
out a lot.
Yeah, there seemed to be like a divergence in what they teach you at college versus the real world tech stack. So, like, at college, they might teach you data structures, algorithms, C++, and once you actually get on the job, it's more so like I guess a more practical stack, like maybe React or on the back end Spring. So like, how were you able to pick up the necessary frameworks on the job? Like, and how long did it take you to really feel comfortable?
I mean, yeah, the learning curve was definitely steep. In college, I did not learn anything about data structures and algorithm. I did not learn anything about um, yeah, it's like the basic. My basics were very shallow,
Yeah.
but I had a really strong problem solving. I have really strong problem solving skills, and I think that's what helped. I think being able to pick up things on the spot and understand why and how things work the way they do was very critical to my success in that during my internship. I think that also having really good communication skills helped. Um, for example, we had to present our final project, and everyone had to stand in front of some of the highest level executives at Boeing and kind of explain what they've worked on during the summer um, before getting that offer letter back. So I think that just being able to think on your feet was very critical. The learning curve was steep for learning JavaScript, Node.js, Express, and Docker, and all those stuff. But I think that practice makes perfect, and I think I was really like excited to learn every single day. I came to work like very happy, very excited, very stoked, not just because of my teammates, but because of the exciting work that we were doing, because we were actually building something as interns that was going to be used by the company, not just something that was going to be thrown away. So it was very exciting, and that's just that thrill is kind of what helped me learn a lot quicker than yeah.
So like, what is some advice you would give somebody? Let's just say they're just starting off. Like, what would you do differently if you had to do it all over again?
Advice, I would say. From what I've learned, if I could have done it all over, I would not have gone to college. I would have studied lead
Yeah.
code, and I would have grinded. I'm just
Yeah.
being honest, man. I don't think college throughout college, my senior project was probably the most real world experience that I got all throughout college. Like, don't get me wrong, like the math was crazy. I mean, I aced all my math, all my math, it was all easy and stuff like that. But like when you look at what transfers into like what's gonna help you in the real world, um, the final design project, the final senior project is the only one that teaches you how to go about engineering, how to go about breaking down, defining a problem, breaking it down, and then how to approach solving a problem in real life. And when you get into the real world, unfortunately for me, I didn't realize this because I had a job right out of college, and then I had IBM right after that. I didn't know that data structures and algorithm were
Right.
that important. But had I known, I would have grounded. I would have just grinded the code, and just grinded projects after projects to kind of show that I can do. I have the skills that they need. Um, because it's honestly very easy to get an intern, to get a interview and stuff like that. You just have to pass the hard lead code problems in 5 to 15 minutes. Um, and again, to get the interviews, your resume simply has to match the job description by 90%. You can use JobScan. Um, I don't advise it, but I think people can lie on their resumes just to match those criteria, get the interview, show that they can lead code, get a job offer, and it's really just that simple. Everything else is just noise. Um, so yeah, if I could go back and do it differently, I would not have taken student loan. I would not have wasted 4 years in college. Um, I would have just grinded lead
Just
code,
leak
and
code
stuff
all
like that.
day.
Yeah, lead
Yeah.
code all day.
Yeah, that's one of the unfortunate things about the tech industry. It seems more so about like gaming the interview process than necessarily having practical skills. So
Yes, because what's the point of going through college and you do everything
Right.
right, and then you don't have lead code, you don't get in.
Right.
yeah,
You know, so it's like you have to do what's gonna get you in the door. You don't want
Like
to do
who,
what you think is right.
yeah, who presented leak code to you? When were you first like faced with that?
I did face some lead code questions when I got into IBM, but they were like easy questions. Like, even though I never saw lead code, it was something that I could like code up. But sorry, these dogs are. Um, I'm gonna have to put them away 1 second.
But yeah, like it's pretty interesting, man. The tech industry is more so about leak code than just actually being able to do the job.
Yeah, I always found that kind of strange. Where like I interviewed for Amazon one time, and they're like, "All right, we have these two leak code problems for you," and I'm like, "Yeah, like I just don't, I know how to program, but I don't really know leak code." And I tried my best, but then at the end of the interview, like 30 minutes went by, and I'm just like, "Yeah, I don't, I don't really know how to do this stuff." And the guy kind of just shrugged, and I didn't. Obviously, I didn't get the job, but yeah, it makes you realize, okay, why would you go to college when you can just get a lot of projects done on your GitHub, just like grind leak code all day every day, and get up to the point where you can just join Fang. You could just jump into Meta or Google, Amazon, like having that structure, having that background of leak code is huge. But I don't know that, I didn't realize that until I was like kind of like deep into the industry. And I think that's the problem. A lot of people don't even know about it before they're about to go to college. If they did know about it, they might, like Marvin saying, like they might just skip. They might just skip over college and just go straight into leak code.
Yeah, I think it's just important just to have some bachelor's degree, but it doesn't really matter if it's computer science or not. Like past that, just lead code, grind, put projects in GitHub. I mean, it's pretty much the tech industry now. But
Yeah,
yeah,
I think you definitely have to have a solid GitHub. You definitely have to have, some projects that aren't just copy paste from someone else's GitHub. It needs to solve a unique problem, or it needs to showcase certain things that aren't being showcased in general. And yeah, I think it needs to be even a little flashy, like UI wise. I think it's got to look good. It's
yeah,
got to run well, of course, on the back end and all that, like, or your database, like that's all got to be wired up. But I think it's really important, just from my experience in the tech industry, like they really want to see a nice product. They really want that shiny, UI, UX, whatever. I don't know. What about you, Kevin? What did you find, when interviewing was really important?
I mean, to me, interviewing, it just, a lot of companies, they all have different interview processes. Some, like the bigger tech companies, they all do the FANG stuff. But if you go like mid-size or even some large companies, then they're not like quote unquote software companies, then they're gonna interview you more so on the framework, the stack. So to me, it's about getting in front of enough companies to where like whatever skill set you have, it passes the bar of what they're asking for. But like what you really need is you have to be able to communicate. Like if they ask you to solve a problem, you need to talk while you're solving the problem. Don't just solve the problem. Explain your thought process. Tell them what you're doing, because like a lot of times they're not necessarily trying to get you to solve the problem. Is more so like, oh, I want to see how this guy thinks. Like, how is he reacting under pressure? So
Right, like kind of like, okay, what's this guy got in his head? How is he going to work? Give an example of how it's going to actually be on the job. So if you're asked a problem that's relevant to the job, like you said, maybe they don't want that quick answer, but they would much prefer it if you were to walk them through step by step. Okay, I did X, then I did Y, that led to Z. More of yeah, showing your skill set, I think is huge.
yeah, exactly. And then you just got to do like different things to stand out. Like even like like Marvin was saying is you know communication is very important. Yeah, you want to have like you want to look the part too. Like tech people, a lot of times we have this reputation of being like not dressing well, not being good communicators. You just kind of want to go in and solve engineering problems, but Now since the bar is so high, you have to bring something special to the table, and just being able to communicate, looking like you belong. Like, a lot of times tech is not client facing, meaning you're not talking to customers. So yeah, they might let you come in underdressed, but if you dress up, that's how you can fast track your progress once you do get in the door. Like, that's how you can even break out of the, typical code monkey stuff. Like, they have to see you and be able to picture you in like a higher role. Like, oh, this guy's really sharp. I can see him in management. So, you
That's
know,
interesting. I mean, what for you, Kevin, what do you think has kept you employed all these years? Because obviously, if you go on LinkedIn and you go on the feed, there's so many people out of work right now. And not just, people that have been out of work for years. You got people that are just getting laid off from Microsoft, from Activision, whatever. You got a lot of talent in the pool. So, what has made you competitive, would you say, in this kind of environment?
yeah, for me, it's the grace of God, obviously, but past that, one, just being active on LinkedIn, kind of building a presence. I need to get back on there, but yeah, just staying engaged in the community, because if people see what you're doing, then they're building a brand. They're more likely to reach out to you for opportunities. Like, you help other people on LinkedIn. Say you're employed, your company has a job opening. Somebody puts an open to work thing. If you say, "Hey man, I got a job at my company. Here, you can apply here." Just doing
Right.
something like that. Like, you're putting in a community, and like when it's your turn to be unemployed, somebody, they might end up returning the favor. Like, "Hey, I remember you. We're hiring over here." You know.
Right, like, "Oh, I worked, with you at IBM, or I worked with you at Boeing," or wherever you
Yeah.
were, and then it's like, yeah, you get another job somewhere else, then, or, your friend gets another job somewhere else, then you get laid off, and then, you hit up your buddy like, "Hey, is Amazon hiring for software devs?" Or, whatever the company might be. I think, yeah, it's kinda like Marvin was saying, like, just getting in front of leadership, getting in front of people that, executives, people that are higher up in the company that you work for. If you could demonstrate excellence, if you could demonstrate that, like, you really are a good coder, you're a good programmer, you know what you're doing, you know how to solve problems. I think that's really all anyone's looking for. Can you really solve problems? Because ultimately, these businesses, they're going to run into problems, and that's why they're hiring you, and that's why they're paying you so much money, is to figure out these problems, wouldn't you say?
Yeah, exactly. And you know, like, looking the part is really important too, man. Even like today, I decided to dress up in a suit because I want to step up, my level of professionalism. The thing is like, when somebody looks at you, morally, we would like to say, "Oh, it doesn't matter." They need to judge me on my character or my knowledge. But as soon as
Right.
people are automatically going to give you a level of competence based on how you're dressed. Like, if you're looking sloppy, they're going to assume you're less competent than you really are. If you're,
Yeah, it's kind of like, you walk into a coffee shop and you just have on like shorts and a t-shirt. They're just going to be like, "Hey man, what do you want?" But
yeah,
if you walk in there, in a full suit, they're gonna, they're it's almost like they're intimidated by that. They're gonna be like, "Oh, how can I help you, sir?" They're gonna be like very formal, very polite. Whereas if you just roll in with a t-shirt, then they're like, "All right, next."
yeah, exactly. So that's something like a lot of technologists, they don't really see the importance of like dressing well or being social, but that's a huge part of the equation. Like, somebody who's less technically capable than you, but they're more social, they're more liked, they're sharper, dress in their dress. They can even pass you up quickly, because at the end of the day, a company is humans dealing with humans. So if nobody really likes you, but you can solve problems great, yeah, you're gonna make some progress, but you're gonna be limited. Like, they're gonna isolate you. Okay, this guy, he's great at code. He can't really get along well with others, so we're just gonna keep him over here. He might be a senior developer for the next 15 years. Like he's never going to pass this certain bar because he he doesn't have the social skills or the other skills necessary to progress.
Right. So, like, what you're saying is this guy or this girl, they wouldn't really have the expertise or the knowledge to really, well, I guess knowledge socially. They wouldn't
Yeah,
have that social knowledge, of psychology and whatever else to move forward, to get promoted to leadership roles, and because if they're just that, kind of that iconic look of a programmer in the 90s, skinny kid, hoodie on, hood up, just down, head down in the computer, coding. That's what people used to think programming was, and that's what a programmer looks like. But, nowadays it's very diverse. Yeah, people from all different cultures, all different ways of life, programming. And I mean, that in that way, it's really a beautiful thing, all the diversity.
yeah. So like, what I found is, yeah, you can, the job will allow you, like, especially if you're a technologist, it'll allow you to come dressed up, however you want, if you're in tech, a lot of times because you're not client facing, but, your managers and, just people in the company in general, they're going to make assumptions about you just based on how you look when you come in. So if you're really sharp, they're already gonna like in their mind kind of picture you for a higher role, or they think you're probably like a higher role than you really are. So that's one thing that's important. Another thing beyond just having technical skills is you have to be someone like the manager can depend on. Okay, like for example, if they send you a message like, hey Brian, uh, what is such and such? Do you know what such and such is? If you can answer back immediately, yeah, such and such is here. Such
Right.
and such is this. Like they can, you're dependable. They know
Right.
you're a guy to go to for answers. That's something that
Sure.
will make the manager like have trust in you. And once the manager trusts in you, you're gonna go beyond just being like a code monkey. They're like, oh hey,
Right. It's not just like, where you're at the point where, oh, okay, we have this project. Let's send this over to Dan. He'll get us started. He's a senior developer. Versus, okay, let's invite Dan to lunch. Let's bring Dan on the company presentations for the month and let him, have a speaking role or, but all of this type of stuff, it requires that social element. You got to be able to work, well with others, communicate, problem solve, and do all of this in kind of a very open manner.
yeah, because something a lot of people don't realize is that companies don't really need coding unless they need coding. Like, you're developing a product or, you're automating something. So, the thing is, as a coder, um, yeah, you have to bring value to the business. Like what you're doing, it has to have some sort of business impact. Otherwise, it's just a cost and they're eventually going to cut you. So,
Absolutely.
but yeah, Marvin. Yeah, we're just talking about other things you can do to stand out. Once you get the job. So, for example, I was saying you need to dress well. Like a lot of technically, you can come in underdressed, and I did early on in my career, but I believe that was a big mistake that I made. What do you think about that?
I mean, just to be real blunt, I don't think that your your dress code has much impact on on whether or not you get cut. I think it's the impact that you have on the team. If you if you're, I mean, obviously they expect you that they assign you done. But if you're able to do that and you're able to, for example, get the new guy on board and get them ramped up, and you're able to help other people with their tasks, or if you're able to significantly save the company money through your needs, then that just brings your value up. Um, I used to think that way too. I used to think that dressing well will get you, it's professionalism and stuff like that. And I think that at a certain level, like if you're distinguished engineer or something like that, or a role, you do have stuff. But I think as a developer, you can come in with pants and a t-shirt. As long as you get your work done and you're providing value, you're good.
Right.
And also, whether or not your role is saved, it highly depends on the team on which you're hired. I think people should do more due diligence on figuring out where in the organization they fall. Um, and I think also networking your way. Networking is also a great leverage you should use, because although you have like projects on your team and stuff, bounce onto another team if your team is affected and stuff like that. So I think those are the
Right. So, I mean, let's talk about that for a minute. Networking is huge. Clearly, like, you're on the show right now because of my marketing. I'm going out there trying to find talented people. I came across you.
yeah,
You agreed to come on the show. So, but that's all networking. That's all just reaching out to people, chopping it up with people, seeing, okay, what are your interests? Okay, we got this kind of thing going on. Does it fit what you're doing? Okay, great. And then you kind of move forward from there.
yeah,
Yeah, like
that's great. I think
uh,
I'm very grateful about like that.
Oh, absolutely.
but yeah, like in terms of dress code, like what I found is okay. Let's just say, for example, I work for a lot of big companies. I was at one company, and I came in. I was really good technically, and yeah, I was able to make progress fast. And but one guy, he always wore suits. He looked a lot sharper than me. And then
Mm.
come a few years later, he's like in a VP role. You know what I mean? Like as I would say,
That's
if you
what
want to stay
network.
on like the yeah, networking, and to me, yeah, you got to look the, you know what I'm saying? Like you have to look the part. Like okay, when I first came into tech, it was at a smaller company, but I came in. Some days I would come in like sweatpants, basketball type of gear on, and yeah, they didn't say anything, but I know like in their mind, they probably made like some assumptions that they didn't verbalize, but
Right.
you know, they kind of paint a picture of you as soon as they look at you. That's what I found. But
Facts.
yeah,
I
like
mean,
you
well,
mentioned, networking. Oh, go ahead,
I,
go ahead.
I don't know if there's a bit of lag. I'm trying to wait to see. Um,
Yeah, it's a little long.
Yeah, the connection's kind of choppy tonight. Sorry about that.
I was gonna say like, maybe not like sweatpants, jeans, regular t-shirt. You should be fine, or like a sweater. I don't think anybody paints like a negative picture. And if you have a good personality, which you should, if you're hired, you should be good. Um, Again, the main thing in big tech is like not getting comfortable. Um, Making sure you have multiple sources of income in case something happens. Because at the Watson team that I was on actually got sold. So like, and I'm sure a lot of things like that happen. I'm sure that people hear that the lifespan of people at certain companies is like 2 years. So like, you should be on the team for a year, and then after that year, you should get ready to like bounce. You should get
Yeah.
ready to get promoted, right? On due
Right.
diligence to like to make sure that they're not left behind, basically. Um, it's a bit of
Like to
politics.
figure out what you need for that next level.
Yeah, have that conversation with your manager. Find somebody in the company that can be a mentor. Um, yeah, all these little things. Honestly, when it comes to retaining job
Right.
Yeah, like you mentioned, diversification is really important because tech is really unstable. You could be thinking you have job security, you're cool with everybody, and then they just let you go out the blue.
Yeah,
And now it's like, what do I do?
yeah. Um, a lot of things that people now is like, honestly, I think getting into tech is easy. I know I'm not in tech right now. But I think my situation is kind of like like I understand why I'm in my situation, but it's just like, I think everyone should be especially in this era. I think everyone should be focused on like being income independent. Like if you don't have money from coming from a source of income, that depends on whether or not you wake up tomorrow and grind. And I think that's more valuable than any experience, honestly, because the problem solving skills that you'll learn from developing your own source of income, I think it's immeasurably valuable. It'll make you more approachable. It'll make people, um, it's just so much more flexible. Like you can say what you want. You can do what you want. There's less um, there's less overshadowing on on the things that you believe. On your values. So I just encourage everyone to as much as possible, but try to develop your own assets as much as possible. I think that's what's most valuable.
Yeah, I mean, that's definitely important. It makes me think about I used to be in a band with a guy who owned a condo in Portland. He owned, I think, two houses in Los Angeles. He just, actually, he was in a car accident and he got a big payout. So he had, these huge annuities coming in to him
Mhm.
every month. So he had a ton of cash to burn. And, he asked people, what should I do with my money? Like, what's one of the safest things to do? And they said real estate.
Mhm.
So, he got a property management company to handle the condo in Portland. He lived in LA, so he could handle the houses there. But I think, yeah, like you're saying, having passive income, having that extra set of income when times get tough, that's crucial.
Yeah.
Yeah, I think like
Um,
you have to start planning and working like even if you're employed, working like you're unemployed, meaning you got to start like working on creating your own business, something that can sustain you if you just get canned.
Yeah.
yeah. Um, I also encourage people to look into living abroad because I did for a couple of years and I realized that you can save 15% on taxes by just living abroad. And if you have real estate, that's even more that you can write off and save every year, right? So in perspective, if you're in the 30% tax bracket for free, which means every year, every 4 years, one of those years, all that money goes to Uncle Sam, right? But if you're living abroad, not only is your lifestyle up and your cost down, but you can also save a lot more. Think about it, if you're making 30 to 45K that you're saving cash, you can invest that in real estate or in REITs, and you can do that. You can invest that abroad as well because the U.S. market is kind of saturated. But imagine you invest that in somewhere like Panama, that's an up and rising city, that's a tax haven like Monaco. Then in 10 years
Right.
you can retire. So there's just a lot of different avenues people should think about. I think it's pretty crazy in the tech industry that you can have all the experience and then all of a sudden, you know, the carpet gets swung, the carpet gets taken out under your feet, and all of a sudden you're left with no source of income, um, no way to bounce back
Oh,
because
yeah.
you didn't think about that
Right.
before.
I mean, we had a
But I think
guy
that people should be ready.
Yeah, we had a guy on not too long ago from Blizzard. He was I think HR director of some, right, Kevin? Some kind of HR.
Yeah,
Yeah, so he was really good at his job, really knew what he was doing, but then Blizzard had layoffs and he got let go. I'm not sure what he's doing now, but it just shows you can be really talented, really solid, but still just get the rug pulled out from under you.
yeah. It's not even about talent these days. It's just if they want to hit this certain profit objective, they'll just cut you. So
Yeah,
Right.
you always have to be ready to go. Like, okay, if I get canned tomorrow, what is the plan?
What
How
am I gonna do next? Yeah.
so like always network on LinkedIn and these other platforms. Like never, a lot of people once they get a job, they get comfortable. They
yeah,
stop, being on LinkedIn. They stop networking, and you get canned, and now like you're scrambling.
yeah, pretty
So
much.
it's
It's
kind
kind
of, but yeah, like moving abroad, that's really interesting. I know like a lot of people are moving to like Thailand or those kind of lower cost of living places, but they're also really advanced.
mm,
I know Thailand is one. I've heard of some moving to like Kenya.
mm-hmm.
Uh,
Philippines.
Mexico, like Mexico City, but they kind of having an issue out there in Mexico right now. Like they don't really want all of the digital nomads over because it's raising the price of everything. The locals are kind of complaining about that. So, but
Yeah.
in these places, you can, what would be like a $2,000 or $3,000 rent is like $800. So if
It's
you have like
amazing.
a remote job, then like you mentioned, you're saving a ton.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So yeah, I think we're in an economy where you have to think outside of the box to survive. It's not like it was. It's not like, oh, okay, I'm in America. There's countless opportunities in tech,
No.
and you it's not like it was. So like you mentioned, think outside of the box. What are you going to do if there's no conventional opportunity? So yeah, so that kind of ties into you developing your company. Can
Um,
you tell us
I
about
think I
like
think
what
that
are some of the? Oh, go ahead, go ahead.
me developing my company was it was a mix of coincidences, but like I think that for any startup founder, starting a company doesn't just start. It's not just like spontaneous. It's like it's been like decades since I've been thinking of like business ideas, right? Decades since I've been thinking like or trying things, like trying things and failing. Um, so I think that me even
Right.
thinking of this idea and it being feasible has been something that has been brewing for a long time. So like if you're thinking of starting a business, you have to start ideas and actually trying them out a long time ago before you find something that's going to be feasible, right? And I think that while I was traveling, looking at my values and looking at like what I was looking to get out of my travels, I realized that what I was longing for was understanding for why the world was the way it was. And when I looked at the way the U.S. worked and the way everything worked in the U.S., I asked myself, how come people in the U.S. are able to travel anywhere in the world, but two-thirds don't have passports? How come you know the world is waiting for the people in the U.S. to make a change, but the change isn't coming? I realized that like those that very different mindsets than anyone that I met in the U.S. And when I asked questions, I realized that it was because many people in the U.S. didn't travel. So, and then when you look at why people don't travel, you realize that people are not income independent. People are in survival mode, right? They're not,
Yeah.
they don't have the freedom. They don't have the freedom that. So I realized that it's a huge problem, and I thought a solution, and I think I found a solution. And so this is kind of where I want to kind of speak a bit about CoDNX. CoDNX is a platform for digital nomads. It's a platform where people can find wherever they go in the world. Co-living is basically like a hostel that has a co-working space, and the people that stay there, instead of being backpackers and people that travel quickly, they tend to be other digital nomads, so people that travel more slowly. So the connection that you have is a lot better, and the growth environment that you have is also a lot better. And
That's
amenities and stuff like
interesting.
that. In addition to that, it's also about co-creating. It's about leveraging the current infrastructure that hasn't been tapped into yet to allow people to bring people together in certain environments where they can think about ways to drive innovation amongst each other and pursue together, because the type of people that travel and live abroad so we're providing not only accommodations,
Right.
but also providing different spaces, different types of environments for people to grow, for people to um, to build, and for people to co-create. Um, just like on a very high level, that's what it's about: living and traveling and being able to be self-sustainable independently, regardless of where you're born in the world.
Yeah, I mean, to have that passive income or to have that residual income coming in from different businesses you have set up, that's super key because then you could just fly wherever, work
Yeah,
somewhere for, like you're saying, in one of these kind of like hostile situations, but it's more for programmers. I'd never heard of that before. That's really interesting.
yeah, they're called co-livings. You should look them up, or you just look up CoDNX and you'll find some.
Nice.
So yeah, like what made you finally decide to jump off the ledge and get the business started versus just continuing to ideate forever? Like what made you say, okay, now is the time to really get this off the ground?
Well, first of all, I think if you strategize too long, you're acting in fear. Sometimes you just have to do it if you love something. I have a passion for helping in any way I possibly can, and I thought that again, I'm a problem that I can fix, and it's like, and I understand why it doesn't exist. I'm gonna jump on it if I know that it's gonna help the world, right? Um, so I think that I saw an opportunity, and also during my time while I was traveling, I was meeting with all these people that own these co-living pain points and like what they thought about what I was doing, and just getting the feedback that I got from nomads and from these property owners is what gave me the confidence boost actually to just go ahead and start it. Um, and
So yeah, like
yeah, the rest is history.
awesome.
Nice.
So like what were some of your early wins, and then what were also some of the setbacks and the problems that you faced early on, and how did you overcome them?
Good question. Um, some of the earliest setbacks that I faced. Um, I think my earliest setback was losing my job and not being able to get a job as soon, like to recover that that source of income as soon as I thought I would. Um, I think that was again.
Right.
I think the job was my biggest setback because I had a stream of income that was really really good, and I had no stream of income. Even though I had a huge for getting laid off and stuff like that, I still think that like not being able to have a job for so long has been the biggest setback to my momentum, um, in terms of like the networking that I was doing, in terms of like um, even the tools that I was able to pay for and stuff like that. I think that, but my biggest wins was understanding that what I was doing was actually valuable. I haven't reached product market fit yet because I haven't launched, but I know my product is marketable. I know my product is necessary because I literally have a podcast with digital nomads, and I know about 1,000 to 1,500 feedback about this product, and they're excited about it. I've already waitlisted about 43 of the biggest co-livings in Mexico, Central Latin America, and Europe. I don't know if you heard of like Outside Selena. I've already had these conversations. I have partnerships with WeWork, Regus, space providers in the world. I already have like I have all the ingredients for success, right? But I haven't launched the product yet. So I understand that my biggest win right now is that
Right.
I understand that what I'm building is something that's going to be used and that's something that's going to be valuable. But I also know that my biggest setback is the fact that I don't have any income, right? So my momentum is kind of on me getting this thing out there. So that's kind of what it is.
Sure.
So yeah, like in a period of being unemployed and now you're your own CEO, like how do you stay focused versus like just being drawn off here, there, everywhere? A lot of people, they don't necessarily have the focus to really launch something, especially when they don't have income coming in. So like, how do you really keep focused?
Um, I think what I'm doing is necessary. I don't think I need any like this is like what I breathe and eat, man. I have to do this. Like, like I wake up excited to do this. I don't know. I don't really, because I wake up and I do the same thing every single day, no matter how I feel. Um, and I have a lot
Yeah,
of
that's
passion.
willpower right there.
I also have a lot of passion for what
Yeah.
I do. So although it's hard, it's 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 very it's a lot easier when you have a lot of passion for something, you know, what
Yeah.
I got to experience the solution that I'm giving the world, and I want the world to experience what I got to experience because I know that it's going to bring a lot of growth in a lot of people, and it's going to help a lot of people um, detach from this, survival mindset of being corrupted by your job and stuff like that. I'm just like I just necessary, and I'm really excited to just bring this to see to see how well it helps. Um, yeah, I'm just excited about it.
So how far off are you from launching this project? How many months or years do you
From
think?
launching, I think by the
Okay,
end, I think by the end of this summer, like in a month or two, I'll be able to launch.
nice.
Um, right now, I'm integrating Muse. They're the number one product property management system in the world. I've already integrated cloud beds. So after site, which is biggest co-living franchise in the world. And right after Outside, I'm going to onboard all the waitlist co-livings. There should be a ton of listings. There should be a ton um, of places available. But most importantly, I'm excited about the experience aspect of it. Imagine you're a tattoo artist and you want to go to Colombia and you don't have a tattoo parlor in Colombia, but you can leverage somebody else's tattoo parlor to give a tattoo experience and make that passive income while you're in Colombia. So think of this in like every other domain, whether it's hairstylist, nail tech, um, I can't even think of it, but like just think of this across like every single. You can leverage other people's businesses, give an experience, and earn passive income, or whether it's apprenticeships and stuff like that. Even if you're a carpenter, you can leverage this platform to earn money regardless of where you live in the world.
Awesome, man. Yeah, definitely keep us up to date on, like, whenever you launch, let us know, and we could probably have you back, and you can talk about the launch and where people can sign up, etc. So yeah, man, can you tell us a little bit about, like, do you have any strategy in mind on, like, what do you really hope to accomplish in your first couple of years of the business?
Oh, that's a good question. Um, in the first couple of years, I hope to first of all just prove product market fit. For one, I get funded, and one of the main things that I want to accomplish once I get funded is being able to one have a mobile application, and two make it very very seamless for people to get. There's a lot of legal stuff. I know I said something about like being a tattoo artist and stuff like that, but there's a lot of legal stuff involved with that. Like you have to be a certified tattoo artist, like that stuff like that. So like making sure all that legitimacy things is taken care of. Um, and then honestly, I think that if I'm able to see how people are using it to come together in person, um, example, if I'm able to see more people linking up at restaurants through these like experiences, group experiences, and having discounts to wherever restaurant they go to, just seeing more people come together in person, I think that will make me very happy. My core focus here is to make sure that um, we don't lose the human connections that we have. I know we have social media, but in my perspective, social media doesn't give rise to genuine connections. I think that people need to be in the same room. People need to have these conversations in the same room, in the same environment. People need growth environments so that they can grow from whatever it is that they're dealing with. Um, so I think within the first 2 years, I'm going to be focused on just making sure that the platform is optimal to ensure that people are growing and to make sure that people are together in person as they should.
Yeah, I definitely believe, like, in-person communication, there's a richness there that you just simply don't get by meeting up online or talking in the chat room. Um, I think that's something that I hope to do more of, is just getting out and about and not just spending life in front of a screen. So I think that's a great thing there.
Absolutely.
But yeah, Brian, did you have any, like, closing questions you want to ask?
I guess, I'm just thinking about the whole co-living and traveling around. And I mean, what type of person would you recommend get into that type of business? Like, is there a certain type where you would say, okay, yeah, you would definitely be interested? Just talk about, like, recruiting people. What are the first people that you would recruit?
I think anyone that's very independent, anyone that cherishes their freedom, anyone that again, I feel like it's a certain personality type. It's not everyone. Some people like to stay, in their one location, and I get that some people and it's very hard to move
Yeah,
around. But I think that if you're the type of person that really likes freedom and that really cherishes their experience that you have in life, and you want rich experiences, then I think CoDNX is for you. You'll meet the best people. Um, you're more likely to meet a co-founder in a co-living than you are, I think, in San Francisco, honestly. Um, and I think
right.
and I think the connections that I've made in every co-livings that I've had, I still have them today. They're literally lifelong connections, genuine connections. People that I can reach out to and say, "Hey, can
That's
you
awesome.
test the product?" and hear back.
Yeah, that's awesome.
Awesome, man. But yeah, we're at the top of the hour, man. It was definitely a pleasure having you on the show, Marvin. Did you want to leave our audience with any closing thoughts before we get out of here?
I think what you guys are doing is really cool. I hope that anybody watching this can take note on how to take initiatives. I think that we're coming into an era where everyone has and act from the heart. It's not always about the outcome. But it's always about the journey. Enjoy the adversity that you go through. Um, Pray for adversity because I think that as much as it brings pain, it's also going to bring a lot of growth. And usually, when you want to dream big, you also have to grow big. So hope a lot of I wish you a lot of adversity if you're watching on thing.
Awesome, man. And before we get out of here, where can our audience find you at?
You can find me on LinkedIn. I'm not hard to find, Marvin Tchio, and you can check out CoDNX as well. The blog section should have a thing or two about me.
So Marvin TCHIO.
Yes, sir.
Awesome, man. And yeah, we'd like to thank everybody for tuning in. We'll catch y'all next time.
All right,
Peace.
thanks guys.